Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
Oh, damn it.
First of all, first things first, happy birthday.
Right. Oh, thank you. It's the first time I've heard it from you today.
Right, exactly, yeah. And what I was saying is that I would sing it for you, but I never do unless there are also 7 other people who can't singing happy birthday.
Oh,
so.
right. Isn't it weird because you never know what note everyone's gonna start on?
Oh, sing happy birthday.
Hey,
Veronica said happy birthday, and I said a bunch of shit that we don't.
I'll sing happy birthday.
Oh, you're gonna sing happy
Yeah.
birthday? Okay,
Happy
Veronica.
birthday to you.
I can't hear her. She's you're.
Birthday to
He can't hear you anyway, but
There
that's
you
the
go.
thought that
Little
counts.
bit.
All right.
No, I could then because it was pointed right at her face.
face. Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Yay.
thanks, Ron. Hey, I heard some
right.
of those words.
Good.
It's gonna be that weird thing where your threshold is gonna just destroy, cut off her voice completely.
Right. Yeah, probably.
It was very.
It was
nice
all
of
for
her.
naught.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Are you? What are you? Are you 34 now? Is that the?
I'm 35.
Oh, 35. Okay.
Yeah, I'm old as shit.
Yeah, you are. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Being,
Yeah.
I don't know, what, 14 months older than me or something? Yeah, that's.
Yeah. That's why I picked out the midlife crisis car. Nah, it's not the midlife crisis car.
Right.
That's the midlife crisis car would be if I was like, I'm buying a Ferrari. And everybody would be like, Chris, I know you're doing well, but you can't afford that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine.
This is just a cool dad car.
And then my ex-wife that I didn't know that I had told me I had to take the car back because I couldn't afford alimony or I don't know, something. I'm working
Right.
it up.
Yeah.
I'm workshopping it.
We'll figure
I got
it out.
people working on it with me. No, thank you. Thank you very much. You kept such a sweetie. You're like, you sure you want to record tomorrow? Are you're good? Cause we can move it. We can. I'm like, dude, it's totally, I don't care. I only had one thing to do today. It was go to lunch with my mother, which was very nice.
Right.
And that was it. Now I'm home and, I'm already trying to figure out what I'm eating for dinner. Cause I'm just having a good weekend.
Very good.
Sick Batman shirt.
Oh, very tight. Very tight. TPS.
Yeah.
Tight pussy
yeah,
shit.
if you're, I thought you were gonna say TPS reports or something. If you're just listening, I have a the Batman shirt. It's pretty chonky. It's just 3 letters on each row. The Batman with a silhouette of Battinson in the background.
Or honey.
I'm going to see that movie again Tuesday, just by myself because I just wanna see it again at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Because fuck it.
That really is the supreme movie going experience. Middle of the day by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it's not fun like when we did it. I don't want you to think I'm hinting at you.
Oh, it was
that
fantastic.
I hate it when we went to the theaters or something. But I feel like going by yourself, middle of the day, so nobody else is really there. That's the best time. It's just the best way to do it. There's nobody whispering in your ear, asking you questions. It's just it's beautiful.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Wonderful.
Okay, that wasn't a direct dig at me. I got you. Well, no, I didn't ask you questions. Mine were always nudging you.
I think I was asking you questions. Was Thomas Wayne always a doctor?
Oh, yeah. I
He
forgot about
actually
that.
was.
Yeah, my one fear, and the theater layout that we went to, where it's basically just 2 recliners with a retractable arm in the middle. So if you're going by yourself to one of those, you have to hope and pray that there's not some loner weirdo who saw that the one seat was taken and chose the one right next to you.
Right.
So if I get in there, because when I picked the seat, like you said, the seating chart was basically empty. It's 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. Everybody's working, hopefully. There was only 2 seats taken in the whole fucking place, and they were not in the middle. So I'm like, oh shit, I can get middle seats again, right where we were before.
Beautiful.
Picking this one. If I walk in and someone else sits down right next to me, I'm just leaving.
Yeah.
I won't stay.
Right.
I'm not sitting uncomfortably close to a complete stranger for an entire movie when I'm sure the rest of the theater will be mostly empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, plus
look,
people have breathing shit going on. The person sitting next to Veronica was apparently just like heavily breathing next to her the whole time. So I was whispering in your ear and she was whispering in mine like, this guy has fucking COPD or something. I don't know what's going on over here.
Yeah, he's just coughing COVID germs on me the whole time. SARS-CoV-2, delicious. Actually, shout out to my buddy Matt G, who texted me happy birthday. His birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy belated,
And
Matt G. Place to be.
I believe he still listens. He also got Batman swag for his birthday, and he gave me a compliment. He said that we brought up some really great points in our Batman review. I thought it was just me blowing it the whole time. I thought I was just on my knees.
It was, but I guess
just
there
the
were some good
sloppiest-
points in that sloppy BJ.
Yeah, more spit than I can create looking at like a delicious burger. You know, it's just really, it was just a mess, you know?
Yeah.
Our docket's a little smaller this week. We had more main topic. We do have more main topics than we typically do. I'll go through them in a minute. But before we do that, Derek, how are you doing on my birthday?
I'm doing
What a shitty thing to
wonderfully.
say.
Well, it's I'm now the only co-host on this podcast who is the age of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ when he died,
Okay.
which apparently was already the case because you turned 35, not 34. So that joke kind of goes out the window. No, I'm good. It's a weekend off. We had the past couple weekends. A lot of plans. We went to my dad's last weekend. The weekend before that is when we did the double date thing. And so we've been a little busy. We haven't had a chance to just sort of chill for a while. So it's been nice to just...
Isn't it great?
It's really
You need
great.
it.
Yeah. It's
And
a great way to recharge, just doing absolutely nothing.
There's some asshole out there who basically said if you sleep in, then you have nothing. You've like wasted time or some shit. There's some famous person out there. He made some quote about like, if you look forward to doing nothing, then you're like a piece of shit, basically.
Yeah.
Whoever that guy
fair.
is,
I'm a piece of
he
shit
can
then.
he can eat shit and die because every once in a while,
Maybe he already
doing
did.
nothing. No, he's dead for sure.
Okay.
Like 100%. It's one of those, but anyway, it's something like, looking forward to not doing anything is like the biggest waste of like time. Or so basically calling you a piece of shit if you
Right.
were looking forward to being lazy. And to that, sir, I say nay. Nay to you.
Nay to you, sir. Nay to you. How are you today, Christopher, on your 35th birthday?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't, like I said, I had a nice lunch with my mother,
Mhm.
who, we're always doing like movie reviews and I'm always like, oh, I cried during this.
Mhm.
Cause I'm a very emotional man. I get it from her and she's 10 times worse than me. And I'm not kidding. I don't actually think that's an over exaggeration. So my sister moved away to Texas with my 4 nephews and my brother-in-law,
Mhm.
about a year ago, almost a year, not yet. And, my mother's very still upset about that. Like,
Mhm.
she didn't want them to move, obviously. She wasn't going to tell them, like, don't do it. But
Yeah.
I've got 4 nephews there that she can't see now. And so we're just in the middle of Applebee's, TM, having some fucking apps, waiting on that 3 cheese chicken penne.
Right.
Boy.
Right.
And, I brought up Brooke because she's my sister and, part of the family. And you talk about things like that. And she just starts like basically crying in the middle of Applebee's. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, don't do that when I'm here.
I'm not being selfish here, but let's not cry about my sister on my birthday lunch. Let's talk about something happy. I don't want you to, I can just tell it still bums her out. Not to bum everyone out there listening out.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I'm with you there. I actually, when Odin was like a month old, we went to Sea Isle and we brought him, of course. And my dad and I went to Acme to just pick up shit to cook that night or whatever. And in the middle of Acme on like a Saturday morning when everyone is in an Acme, we're just talking about the kid, this and that, whatever. And he's like, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. And he just immediately starts weeping. And I'm like,
oh,
what the fuck are you doing right now? Don't do this now.
your dad?
Yeah, big
I
time.
wouldn't expect your dad to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know him well enough to really even make that judgment call.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it was bizarre. I'm like, can we have this touching moment when there aren't people walking around and seeing it happen? That would be great. Thank you. Very uncomfortable.
yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, but basically the whole point I was getting at is it's my mom's fault that I'm a big
Right. We can blame
emotional
her.
baby. Yeah.
Redirect all the hate mail.
Yeah, speaking of big emotional babies, our main topics this week are the Adam Project. We know we're like a week and some change late with it. It is what it is. I wasn't gonna even put it on the docket, and then everybody started talking about it. So fuck it, we should give our shitty opinions.
Yeah.
Turning Red, the new Pixar movie that came out. We had Human Resources episode 1 and 2 on here. I, for once, didn't watch something that I said I was going to watch. I apologize. I thought I was going to last night, and then I fell asleep instead. I don't have an excuse. That was just what happened.
Yeah, you fucked up. You really fucked this one up.
I did.
That's it.
And then we watched half of the DMZ miniseries on HBO, starring Rosario Dawson, aka Honey Dawson, aka Smoke Show Dawson. I'm just kidding. She's a beautiful woman, but good actor. Damn it! It returns. This also happens to be our 60th episode.
Oh,
so
it's number 60. All right.
There are milestones abound. I am a year older. The podcast is an episode older into fresh territory. From here on, these are uncharted waters. We could make another Pirates of the Caribbean movie with that title, and probably still get Johnny Depp back.
Yeah,
it's a good chance. Let me ask you a question before we get into things. Do you think if you're accused of abuse, not even convicted, just accused, and it goes to trial, do you think the price you're able to ask for a movie goes down?
Oh, like would they? Yeah. So like if he is expecting, let's just like say a flat million for a movie, and then all the Amber Heard shit, like would they be like, well, we'll do it for 500K? Like, I think it takes away from your value. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a thing in the press. So people are less likely to go see it. They're more likely to boycott. Yeah. I think that probably does absolutely affect his bottom dollar.
Yeah. What I'm asking is we can probably afford him now.
We might be able to. Yeah. If we keep coming up with shit that he didn't do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm down with this. We also have Sicario written down, not because we were going to talk about it for the episode, although if we had both watched it, I'd probably say something about it.
Yeah.
But because way back when we saw and reviewed Dune, we talked about checking out Denis Villeneuve's, I think it's how you say it. Sounds good enough. Back catalog, and then you or Peeb or somebody had mentioned in our group chat Benicio del Toro, and look at that, ingredient A, ingredient B, Sicario. Emily Blunt's in that too. She's great. She's a great actor.
Yeah. Hey, got it that
time. Got it. Doesn't count if I'm thinking about it too hard though. But we're gonna dive in episode 60. Like I said, I hear a crying child downstairs. Hang on one sec.
That can't be good.
I don't know what's sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
You're gonna have to cut that whole spot. I did not keep talking. So
oh no, you're probably amazing. How far in are we? With 13 minutes? Yeah, no big deal. Sorry. His timeout corner happens to be at the bottom of the stairs.
Right.
Which means that if he's down there sobbing, I'm just like, what?
Right.
Why is he? What happened?
What happened?
I don't know. He's bored today. My 3-year-old son is bored, and we're not. It's like a kind of a miserable day outside. Yeah. Actually, it's like overcast.
I can hear
kind
him
of
coming
chilly.
That's he got some pipes on him, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, and then like if you like talk to him, it like makes it worse.
Right.
Like the minute you say anything, it's like he cranks the volume knobs up to 11. I can hear him talking back to Samantha right now. I'll lock him in the bedroom. Put a dog bone in there. No, I'm kidding. That's child abuse. Yeah, he's just bored. He's pent up in the house,
Right.
I don't think he's taking a nap. They get cranky. I can't wait for you to experience.
I just cannot wait. My buddy actually just said that to me the other day. He said that he was in the diner. I posted a picture of Odin just like sitting on the couch or whatever. And he says, I miss when my daughter was like this. Just the other day, I had to carry her out. She was screaming at the top of her lungs. We were at a diner. And I guess she like stiffened out straight like a surfboard, and he had to carry her under his arm and like carry her out of the diner screaming at the top of her lungs. He said there was like all these old men like cheering him on, like, way to go, Dad. I'm like, I love that my son, I can just put him down and he just stays wherever I put him.
Yeah,
I'll put him in the middle of the floor and then I'll go grocery shopping. Where's he going to go?
Disappear soon.
I know.
I can't.
Very soon.
Yeah. No, it gets, every parent says this, it gets different.
Yeah.
It's not worse. It's not, I was going to say not necessarily better, but that sounds fucked up. Like it's great that he's older and like we can talk and have conversations and he's hilarious. But it also means that when he decides he wants to say no because he's testing his boundaries, he's difficult to deal with. You know. Anyway, we were talking about getting started. So we have a very, very short week in review. Then we have like 5 trailers to talk about. One of them is actually gameplay / game descriptions for the Hogwarts Legacy game that came out that I gotta tell you guys, very excited about. And then we have our 3 main topics: the Adam Project, turning red, and DMZ. We'll talk about human resources next week, along with whatever we do for main topics.
Sure.
Okay. The first story, also video game related. It's just a cool story that I wanted to bring up because it's kind of it has yet to convince me that the Steam Deck is the way to go. I mean, like, I still want to get one, but I'm still on the fence if I want to get the first one or like a Gen 2. And then part of me is like, well, if everyone thinks like me, they won't sell enough and they'll never make another. And that makes me sad because apparently the Steam Deck is pretty good. It's just not perfect. Like, not every single game is playable, even though it looked like they were going to have Linux anti-cheats in place for things like Destiny and Call of Duty. And while those anti-cheat programs have announced compatibility with Linux operating systems, it has yet to make its way to the Steam Deck. But by all accounts, the hardware is nice, the screen's nice, it plays games well. And here's another example: Elden Ring just came out. Obviously, we've kind of sold that one pretty hard over here. We both love it to pieces. I'm in Siofra River right now.
Oh, okay, great.
Doing Ronnie the Witch's quest line.
That's a fun.
Met
That's
up
a
with
good one. Very good one.
with my boy Blade. I don't know. How you
I think
say
it's
it. I'm gonna call him
Blav. Like, for some reason, the double D is a TH. Every time they say it, he says like Blade.
Well, I
But he
don't
is
like
the
that
honey.
at all.
He's my honey bear.
He's
and I love
blood.
him.
He's blood for me.
Okay.
Blood.
Blood.
Just like how a vampire says blood.
Right.
He's blood. It's just like if you want to sound Australian and you say razor blades, you just say rise up lights, and you'll get there eventually. So anyway, the story, and the reason that the story is cool, is the Steam Deck is a very unique monster because it's a PC, portable PC, gaming portable PC, but it's also locked hardware, which is the same situation that any console has, which means that when you have locked hardware, and it's the same argument that consoles have been making against PC gaming for years, they're able to fine-tune games to take advantage of that hardware based off of how the game tries to do certain tasks, based off how the hardware, how strong the hardware is and what it can handle. For example, that's why games continue to look better and better and get better and better detail throughout the generation of a console, to the point where like the PS5 looks incredible out the gate. I can't imagine what they'll be doing with it in 7 or 8 years when it's towards the end of its cycle. And they're talking about the PS6. So that whole long-winded roundabout conversation was to say that although Elden Ring still has a stuttering issue on PC, it looks like specifically on the Steam Deck, Valve has fixed it. They showed some pretty cool videos with the head of Steam Deck and honestly, it's a great PR for them. They showed some pretty cool videos, and the head sort of programmer / designer, I think, for the Steam Deck was talking about what they discovered, the problems that Elden Ring was presenting and how they solved them, basically. And without getting into the nitty gritty, there's a little bit of a shader compiling issue, shader cache issue, and then there was also just like the game pulling too many requests or some shit like that, and they just reworked it and fixed it, and they showed the experimental build being played next to current day, and it's night and day. It runs solid frame rate. It looks great, and that's awesome news for Valve. It's awesome news for the Steam Deck. It's that kind of on the fly tweaking that they can do that I think is what's going to sell units. So, good for them. It's really more of a, I thought this was cool article, and I've talked for such a long time now. I can't remember what your voice sounds like. So how do you feel about this?
No, I mean, it's, I agree. I wish they would fix those stuttering issues on PC, which, by the way, for the most part got better as the game went on, but I feel like ever since this latest patch, it's sort of like reset that. I've had some pretty serious stuttering going on. past couple days, but I'm actually close to the end of the game, and I'm for the first time I am really getting frustrated. Like it's
Oh yeah, like hard.
Oh yeah, it's really fucking tough in the end. I thought I was in the last area the other day, but I wasn't. Now I am though. But in any event, this isn't really about Elden Ring the game. It's just about its performance on the Steam Deck. Yeah, it's good news. It shows that, like, I mean, even ahead of its release, I know some people have it already, but ahead of its full release, you know, they're clearly putting effort into making sure that as many games as possible can run on it. What's cool is you can actually like link your Steam library to some page. I know I linked it in Horse Chat a couple weeks ago, and it'll actually tell you which of your games have already been verified to run on Steam Deck. Some are in the works. And others, I guess they just know for a fact that they just cannot run on the Steam Deck. I don't know why, but none of the ones in my particular library really mattered. It didn't mean anything to me. But no, so yeah, it's cool. I actually feel the exact same way as you. I've actually had money set aside for a Steam Deck for quite some time. And I don't know if I'm going to wait for a version 2. At a minimum, I'm going to wait a couple weeks just to see what people say.
Yeah,
because there's a sort of like a week 1 honeymoon phase where people are only going to be talking about the things that are good about it, just like with Elden Ring, and you know, and then I feel like by week 2 is when the criticisms start to come out. But it's a cool machine. I have loved the concept since day one, so I absolutely want to support it, especially because like I said, it's clearly they're putting work into making sure, you know, games run on it on launch. So.
Right. I'm definitely leaning more on the side of getting one still than I am not. I've seen some valid criticism of it so far. And it's things that you would expect. It's well, this is not as seamless as they sell it, which is to be expected, to be honest. It's the first of its kind, first generation. You know, and they were specifically talking about things like, you know, some AAA games still don't work, like Destiny. That kind of stuff is an understandable critique, but not why I'd be buying a Steam Deck. Yeah. So it's almost not even a negative to me. Like, I'm not buying a Steam Deck to play the latest Call of Duty. I'm buying Steam Deck because maybe I'm sitting on the couch and I decide I want to play BioShock Infinite handheld, and I already own it and can then play through a game like that on a handheld console in a great... Like, I would never... When I come upstairs after Grayson goes to bed, I'm never like, what old game did I want to revisit? I'm like, what am I playing right now? So, you know, I think of the Steam Deck almost as like just an excuse to, like, if I'm sitting downstairs and we're not actively playing with him and my wife's watching TV, you know, what game have I been meaning to check out that I haven't played in a while? And for that purpose, I think it would work fantastically. Like, I'm actually not really the target market. I would not be I'm not even going to take it to work and play on lunch. I like to take a nap on my lunch break. Yeah. If I can at all. It would be sitting home all the time, which I know is like, well, why get a portable console? Because I can play games on my fucking couch from my PC. That's 100% why. Every time I pick up my Switch for any reason, if I have the urge to play Mario Kart or something, I always end up thumbing through their like deals section on the Switch store. And these are all games that I own in my Steam library that I may have paid full price for or something. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to play that in a handheld. And I'm like, nope. Steam Deck, don't touch it. Don't buy it. Yeah. Just put that $10 aside. You'll spend it elsewhere later. Okay, but good for them. I hope that they keep getting positive press, and I hope that whatever kinks are in the Steam Deck OS, which I think was one of the other valid criticisms, like they're like, it's, you know, once in a while it's a little wonky, which again is to be expected, but I hope whatever stuff they got going on gets worked out. Apparently it's just a good piece of hardware, even running heavy games. They said because they said the fan is a little loud, but it keeps the thing cool. And I'm like, well, if it's keeping it cool, it probably has to be that loud. So pass.
That's
like,
how I keep,
fine again.
I keep hearing people say stuff like that, and to me, that's not a valid criticism. Like the fans being loud, and the other one people keep bringing up is the battery life isn't that great. And I'm like, were you really expecting a long like my fucking phone battery only lasts a couple hours? This is an actual like. It's a computer. And it's playing
PC strength games.
Yeah, like it's gonna. The battery life is not going to be great. Like I don't know. maybe I'm shilling a little bit, or I don't know, but or simping rather is the term. But like, I just don't see that. Did you not expect that? Like when I hear people complain about that stuff, I just don't understand how that wasn't one of your first thoughts when you heard about the concept of a portable computer.
I will watch The Simpsons in Cincinnati for the Steam Deck. I wanted to do. I'm sorry, that was a terrible joke. Okay, next topic. Amazon. You know, Jeff Bezos' $1 billion baby movie coming out with Hilary Swank next year. Amazon has been trying to get into film for quite some time. Obviously, Amazon Prime, they have gotten into it a little bit. They've been paying for some movies to come directly to them, all that good stuff. They've been financing some things, a lot of shows, obviously, especially like the Lord of the Rings series coming out that we've talked about at length before. Amazon has officially acquired MGM for $8.5 billion babies. And that's kind of a big deal. MGM owns the right to James Bond films. You might see Amazon Studios logos in a much bigger format moving forward. And by bigger format, I mean physically larger on movie screens. So, you know, what's one way to get into the system? You buy your way in. It takes money to make money, I guess. Amazon did that and just spent a lot on a studio that has some cool properties, and I don't have anything else to say besides,
Yeah. No, I think it's weird. I feel like everything's gonna be just becoming so homogenized. Like it's just all the big companies buying up the smaller companies, and I don't know. I don't like this. Like it's just weird to me. Even Disney owning as much as they much as they do is disturbing to me. And now it's like the remaining 40% of the market is just going to be bought up by Amazon. So it's like everything at some point is going to be like presented by Disney or presented by Amazon. It's just kind of like, gets weird.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
Yeah. They're going to replace the water in all the fountains with Brondo or something.
Yeah.
You know, that's what plants crave, electrolytes. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's, and it's kind of the nature. And I don't mean to sound like a 18-year-old hipster in college, but it's kind of the nature of capitalism. I mean, if you know, the companies that do well buy all the other ones up that are also doing well because they have the money to do it and they want to make more money. So, I mean, eventually the system's either going to collapse or you're going to get to a point where just a few huge mega corporations controlling everything. And it is what it is. It's either going to be a fun, nice, dystopian future where we get all the things we need at reasonable prices, or it's going to turn into Wall-E, where we're all 800 pounds sitting in floating chairs. And I got to tell you, a floating chair sounds cool.
It does sound cool, especially if there's like an attachment that sucks your dick for you and stuff. I don't know. I'd be okay
I got that already. It's called the Auto Blow AI. It doesn't do it for me.
Right.
But I do have less movement involved.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Less.
Yeah.
It's the blowjob alley-oop.
Yeah, it is heavy. It's like holding a head. Just a weird shaped head.
Right.
In your hand. While it sucks your dick for you. Okay. All right. That's all we had for news, which is two things. We have trailers to talk about right about meow. There's a new Halo trailer. I gotta tell you some things.
Tell me. Tell them.
One, I don't have a lot of hope for this Halo show.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually the pessimistic one around these parts, but I just keep seeing articles where the title could literally be like transposed into saying, creators of show reveal they never played a Halo video game, or, you know, creators of show reveal they completely misunderstand the character. I just, I'm not being super hopeful about it. The reviews that I've read keep basically making a comparison to The Mandalorian, but saying that like in a bad way, like Mando, you know, lone wolf and cub. That's obviously not like a unique story device, but it's been used a lot recently in pop culture, especially off the success of Mandalorian, it seems like. And they're like, this kind of feels like that, but with less to show, like less going on for it. So I don't know. And this trailer certainly doesn't do anything to assuage those fears. In fact, it feels like it's doubling down on them. Derek, did you What are you thinking?
I think it's just going to be really bad. I mean, early reviewers who have seen it are not saying good things about it. It's just it just looks like a forgettable sci-fi show. Like it's
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said something about you could basically infer from a headline that they said that they hadn't played the games, but they actually said that they had not played the games. I mean, it's
I was gonna bring that up later on, but I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, I mean, they so basically what that says to me is that, all right, you probably had a lot of people on set who have played the games, but the people who are like producing this or maybe even writing it have not. Because you have things that are obviously, there's a shot at the end of this trailer that was actually, I have to say, all things considered, pretty cool. But it's an exact scene from the game where he sort of follows him out of the back of the Pelican and then passes him and sort of you get the shot from underneath him. So it's not like nobody, if they had literally never touched the game, they wouldn't have recreated that scene.
Definitely the VFX artists have played the game. How's that?
But
that's their foot in the door.
It just looks like bad TV. Like it just looks like, oh man, what's that show that was on? It was like a Marvel show about another planet and fucking Ramsey Bolton was in it. It's like the dialogue in that show was so unbearable that you just... Inhumans, I think that was it. The dialogue was just so cheesy and everything just looked like a local theater production that it was just like, it was impossible to take that show seriously. And that's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
I'm sure like it's something that I'll put on and when I want to see shooty bang bang, but there's going to be nothing. The story of Halo was just enough to drag you through the Halo games. Like it's not like anything like, brand new was stated in Halo, but it still had a good, enjoyable story. You cared about what happened next. This doesn't look like I care about anything that's going on.
Right.
From the moment they announced that this was going to take place in an alternate timeline and they were going to kind of do their own thing, I was like, nuh-uh, that's a bad thing. So Dr. Halsey looks stupid too. That's my final thought.
I agree. There's nothing that screams this should have been on Sci-Fi Channel more than like, someone in like a vaguely sci-fi like onesie bathed in blue light on one side and just like grays on the other. And like right at 1 minute and 4 seconds, I don't know what her name is, but there's a doctor like talking and I'm just like 1 minute and 4 seconds. Holy shit. That shot you could just replace the logos with like the Sci-Fi Channel logo and it would be right at fucking home. Like,
I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like 1,000% like a commercial on the Sci-Fi Channel that I'm watching with when I pause it right there. I mean, I've heard the Pablo Schreiber, Leaf Schreiber, Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief is not bad. That being said, look, I mean, the whole point of the show is that they don't want to just do the games over. So they're taking some pretty big liberties. And, first amongst them is that Master Chief's going to take his helmet off.
Yeah.
And apparently he's going to do that quite a bit. I was reading a review about episode 2 that says like he spends most of the second episode without it on. And that's, I'm not as mad as that, even though it does take away from the character, what the character's supposed to represent. Because there's a medium change and sometimes video games do not transfer 1-to-1 to TV. I mean, sure, they pulled it off with Mandalorian, but they're already getting comparisons to Mandalorian, so maybe they want to chop those off at the fucking get-go. I don't know. Look, should he keep his helmet on? I think so. I haven't seen the series, so
yeah,
maybe it justifies it. Probably doesn't. Maybe it does. It's probably going to be mediocre at best, and we'll revisit. I'm going to watch it, at least the first 2.
Yeah. Me too.
As we do here, we'll see how they go. I keep hearing that like the CG in the battles feels just disconnected enough, like not weighty, that like it makes the battles in the games like better to watch. And I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
That's rough. Anyway, that's it. We'll quit trash talking something we haven't seen yet. That show comes out pretty soon. Thursday, March 24th on Paramount Plus. I'll probably just sign up for a trial when it comes out and watch the first 2 episodes and call it a day. Who knows? The wife does want Paramount Plus for some reason,
Right.
but I'm literally at the point where I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna cancel something then because
Yeah, we have too much
too
shit
many.
too, and we don't even use all of it. So
like she has like a Peacock subscription, and I'm like, what's on Peacock?
yeah, bullshit.
What are we doing that for? I feel like Peacock, Paramount, I should just be able to flip a light switch in the house somewhere and it'll change the service over. You know what I mean?
Right. What
same thing.
what was the C on your cup stand for?
No idea. It's just a
Can it
cup
be-
with a C on it, and Samantha has one with an S on it, and I don't know because I'm kind of dorky. The end.
All right. That works. Good enough for me.
Right. Very unexpectedly, I mean, we knew the show was being created. I kind of forgot about it because it's been quiet for a little while, but they are making the Miss Marvel show with Kamala Khan, not Kamala, as she corrects somebody in the trailer. This show is they announced, can't talk, a release date for this, which is June 8th. I believe that means it's going to be overlapping a little bit with the Obi-Wan show.
Okay.
I think Obi-Wan will still be airing. This is kind of like the first Marvel Star Wars shows where Disney's like, well, you're in too much shit. They're eventually going to cross over and contaminate.
Yeah.
Look at us. The guilt of riches, not the guilt, the problem of riches. So this is, Kamala Khan. This is young girl. She gets powers. When they first made the reinvention of Miss Marvel, the comic series was hugely popular.
Mm-hmm.
She's Pakistani American. To show this little girl become a superhero at the time, and I know it sounds crazy, but when the comic first came out, was kind of unheard of. Every other superhero, even if they're female, is a white, middle-aged person.
Mm-hmm.
There was even back then very few, black superheroes. So this was a breath of fresh air. And what made it so unique was very heavily leaning into her personal life and expectations and how, it's kind of the same reason that you connect with a character in the comics like Peter Parker. He's an everyday kid who had school problems. He was still in high school trying to be a superhero and dealing with all that stuff. The kind of problems in comic books that make a character infinitely relatable and honestly can sometimes birth their legacy, can make them stick around for a long time. These characters become relatable. People fall in love with them, yada, yada. I actually really like this trailer, to be honest with you. She's a charming enough young lady, and I think there's a lot of cool moments. It's cool how they're manifesting her powers. It's not exactly what I expected, but again, she's such kind of a new character that I don't really care how they do it. Like she makes a big fist in the trailer, but it's like a crystallized and it looks like she can make little platforms to step on. And she's done stuff like that in the comics, not exactly. So they're tweaking it a little bit, but again, 100% don't care. It's not really about that for me with her. It's about who she is, where she comes from, her view of the world. She, like I said, she's a charming young lady. She says the line in the trailer that is going to be central to the show, which is that she's like, it's not the 12-year-old Indian girl or Pakistani girl from Jersey who saves the world.
Mm-hmm.
And she rises up and finds that in herself and does become a superhero. I thought it was lovely. I'm looking forward to the show. I hope it does not disappoint. It might. It's Marvel. Who knows? This show is going to tie directly into Captain Marvel 2. She's going to be involved in it with Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau, who is now also a superhero.
Oh, okay.
With powers.
What's her superhero name again? I forget.
I don't remember. As shown in the much maligned WandaVision series. I don't know. I liked the first half of that show, and then it disappointed me all over.
Big time.
Basically how it goes. How'd you feel about this?
So I have, unsurprisingly pretty heavy MCU fatigue, and that's getting more as time goes on. Like it's not, I still see them. I like to participate in pop culture. I always have. So even stuff I don't like, I like to be able to talk at work with people about, people who just like totally ignore that shit are unbearable to me. Like really, you can't just sit through a movie that you kind of don't like just to check it out. You just want to talk shit on it without actually seeing it.
Right.
Anyway, but I do have this like there's this shift happening where like even for a while I'm like, I don't like superhero movies, and it turns out I really do. I like what DC's been doing lately, but there's like a Marvel formula that I really can't stand. And so the way when I look at these trailers now, moving forward, I decided, and I have been doing it for the past however long, is I pretend that I do not have the feelings I have about Marvel to watch them, to try to view them like objectively rather than going like, throughout the entire thing.
How's it working out for you?
And so that being said, I did it with, come on now, Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie. That I thought that looked like a great trailer.
Looks like fun.
Did it with this one too, and I got to tell you, if I did not like, if I didn't know anything about Miss Marvel, if I didn't know that this was associated with Marvel in any way, I would see this and think that it looked really charming. And so that being said, it's only fair for me to assume that knowing it's a Marvel show, it has the potential to be really charming. So no, I thought it looked nothing. I wasn't like, wow, but I kind of like, it had my attention for the whole trailer. Feels like an underdog story. We always like those, of course, but she just seems like she's kind of like a reject in school and a dork, and you like to see those people kind of come into their own. And no, it could be really good. The special effects are incredibly well done. I mean, that's to be expected
pretty good
at this point from Disney. But I was really, for a television show, I was watching this and I was just like, damn, that is like really, really good. Green screen.
It's cool. It's almost like she sees like a mirror dimension of the world when her powers activate. Like there's a really cool shot where she's like at a school dance and she like falls through the floor, and it's really cool camera work. Whoever figured it or envisioned it, like kudos. And it's just like the whole world like rotates around, and all of a sudden she's seeing like a spectral vision on it. It actually looks quite similar to Monica Rambeau's vision when she was in WandaVision. And by the way, Photon, right. Spectrum is, I don't know exactly what they're going to call her yet. They haven't announced it, but she's been called both in the comics.
Okay.
They might even retcon it because her mom was in the first Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. She was Captain Marvel's friend. Remember Monica Rambeau's little girl?
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So they might even retcon it to say like her mom's like flight nickname was one of those two superhero names, and then I would imagine like maybe they'll call her. Who gives a shit? Really? Let's go back. It's almost like one part of my brain just caught the other. It was like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Smack me in the back of the head. It looks cool. It looks charming. I hope it succeeds. I really do. She's got a cool. She's sort of the only likable thing in the Avengers video game that Square Enix came out with, because they very smartly decided to tell the storyline of that game through her viewpoint, and she's known as this, like, she was already like a mega like Avengers fan. Mm-hmm. She was a fan of these real life superheroes, these real life demigods in her eyes. Before she she's literally jumping around outside in a homemade like Captain Marvel outfit. It's really cute. So knowing she'll eventually get powers, become a hero herself, and then get to meet her idols is really fun. And that's why they follow her viewpoint in that game. And the beginning is really sweet. Kamala does not have a super tragic backstory. She's got a loving family. Mm-hmm. And they show how, being Muslim, or I think she's Muslim. It looks like she's in the trailer. It looked like she might be in a mosque. How that stuff just informs her worldview. And, her father, if you played any of the Avengers game, her father is such a big sweetie TM. Like he like really loves and cheers his daughter on. Mm-hmm. And those are the best parts of the game because they are written with a lot of heart. And I hope that's exactly what the show does. It's really, if it's the animation thing where everything looks like they're writing in speech bubbles and stuff, that stuff can wear on me after a while. Like I get it, you're trying to be hip, but let's hope for the best.
Present in the first part of the trailer, though. I felt the same way. I was like, oh, they're doing a Scott Pilgrim thing, and then it was just gone. I was like, okay, all right, like, whatever then. I don't know. Maybe it was just specific to that scene. I mean, it would be weird to like, start it off and then just drop the act. I don't know.
I'm going to say this, and I think it might be a little too far, but the show feels like a PG Euphoria kind of mixed with superhero powers. Mm-hmm. Like that's the vibe the trailer gave me, because they're showing her and she's narrating the trailer and she's like, oh my God, boys. and she's talking to her friends, and like you said, that she's shown off to be kind of a dork and a nerd. It's like Euphoria with superhero powers and not drugs, and with 12-year-olds. There's a lot of caveats there.
How far are you? Just curious.
I just finished the first episode of season 2.
Okay, we'll have to cover that once you're done.
I'm sorry, I'm about halfway through episode 2 of season 2.
Okay.
And did not expect Fez to do what he did at the end of episode 1, although the entire time, even though it is the wrong reaction out there, fam, it is the wrong reaction. Doesn't mean it didn't feel very good to watch somebody who very much deserved to get beat up.
We were jumping out of our fucking seats at 11 p.m.
I mean, and then I was like, okay, stop, because you're going to kill him, and then you're going to go to prison. There's spoiler alert at the beginning of it, but where I am, Fez beat the shit out of Tyler, and God, has he had it coming since like episode 3 of season 1. So it was very vindicating. You feel a little bad. He's got everybody in that show is just fucked up. Like they've all got like shit going on, and I know it's going to get better / worse. That's as season 2 goes on, but
that's what makes it a good show. I mean, there's no like really like you look at a guy like Tyler and he's an asshole, but then you find out that there's like shit going on with him. It doesn't make it okay what he's done,
right?
But you find out he's very sweet and protective towards his mother, and it's just like we like to have these ideas when we run into a guy who cuts us off or something, that they must just be an all around shitty person and go home and beat their wives and do that. But that's not how life is. People just have good things and bad things.
Speak for yourself. I mean, I beat my wife regularly. She deserves it too. I can't say that with a straight face. My wife is the biggest sweetie.
Sometimes she doesn't even have to talk back. You just have to remind her that it's coming,
Yeah.
Don't want to get used to it.
She's such a wonderful woman. She actually got me, sorry, total side tangent. Remember I got the black case from PS5?
Yeah.
Because I was like poo-pooing the white.
Mm-hmm.
She bought me the Midnight Black controller I wanted.
Shit.
Amazon, you're fucking up. It was supposed to be here 2 days ago. And it's like, it got from Texas to New York. And then it said relabeling the package or some shit.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be delivered today, and it's not here yet. So it doesn't usually happen to us, but we'll be complaining in a minute. Either way, she bought it for me.
Very nice.
She also bought me some fun keto snacks, and I don't typically snack when I'm dieting. I'm very locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I know what my food's going to be, and I'm trying to do the 16-8 fast, which means you eat all your food between 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then don't eat the rest of the time. Just a little mini fast, nothing crazy. And that means snacking is really kind of just cut out. So I'm just trying to tear through it this weekend. I'm like, well, it's my birthday weekend. So like, it's keto snacks. It's more calories than I should be having, but it's still kind of in brand on diet.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm under 230 still. So happy about
Congratulations, baby.
Still making progressimo. That's how you say it in Italian. So I'm gonna teach my son how you 2 languages, Spanish and Italian. Next trailer, kind of a serious one, but I gotta tell you a secret. I really love John Bernthal. Like I think he's a fantastic actor, and I just I love watching him in anything, but he does so well in like the cop role. Like I know the Punisher is not about a cop, and I don't want to further the insane notion that you should be putting a Punisher skull with the blue and white.
Yeah.
I support the blue line logo on your fucking Jeep, you idiot. Because they mean opposite things, you fucking moron. Because the Punisher kills everybody and police are supposed to protect people, you stupid cunt. But, he's great in Punisher, and he's great at playing like a cop or someone. Like, I don't know what it is. He just gives off this like
angry
well, maybe he does angry very well, and that's an often. But
I've associated that with him so much. I think he's an excellent actor too. I agree. But if I ever saw him, I would not walk up to him. I would just go, "Oh, dude, I saw John Bernthal earlier."
Occasionally, if I see an actor I really like, I'll watch like a Hot Ones episode, because the long form interviews, you can really get some like fun little stuff out of it. I know everyone says Chris Evans is a great interviewer. He really is. They ask great questions, and like they talk about shit on that show they don't talk about in press junkets.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for the sponsor, Hot Ones. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to try that box of sauces you sent us. John Bernthal was on one, and he just seems like such a cool fucking dude.
Oh, really?
He seemed like such a sweetheart. Like, you should watch it. They're having a blast. They're talking about shit. He's never, I don't think, I could be totally wrong. I think he said he had never actually served, but like he's gotten a bunch of training because of all the roles he's done.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. That could be 100% incorrect, and I'm dumb. I've been known to be dumb before. Anyway, John Bernthal.
Before.
The whole point of us slobbing John Bernthal's probably extraordinary looking knob is
It's probably safe to assume that. I agree.
Yeah, it's probably lovely looking hog. He's in a new series on HBO Max. I'm glad I got you with that one. He's a new series on HBO Max called "We Own This City," based on a true story. It's about Baltimore and the Baltimore City Police and the corruption in there. And John Bernthal, man, looks like he's just playing a corrupt cop. And I gotta say, we're not supposed to be rooting for him, but it's John Bernthal, and I fucking love him. So, I'm gonna watch this like 100%. It comes out April 25th.
Me too. It's Fuck the Cops, the TV show.
Yeah, basically. And it's just going through like rooting through the corruption of the agency and how they would take liberties with there's a word for it. It's like forfeiture of property or some shit like that. Like when they go do a drug bust, the city kind of just says, well, whatever money and shit you have, we take it because thanks, you're doing illegal shit anyway, and we use it. But these guys are going in and saying, well, the city's just going to take it. So I get a taste and you get a taste. Very just corrupt shit. And it, obviously it's following like a newer cop who shows up and is being asked to be a part of this basically. And I'm 100% on board. I'm not usually like, oh, cop drama, let's go. But I love Bernthal, the fact that it's based on a true story. I'm sure it's stretched a lot.
Well, it's
to
from
be
the
more
producers
dramatic.
of The Wire too, which I've never watched, and it's always been on my list.
Always told it was great.
Which is apparently one of the greatest TV shows of all time. People put it up there with like Breaking Bad, so I'm really gonna have to make time for that one day. But no, it did. It seemed like a good drama. It seemed like a good story, and it just seems well acted. There's like that scene at the very end where whoever the fellow that the woman is interviewing says like he's like going off like, oh, they steal money, they do this, they they whatever, they militarize the police force, and he was like, how does that make you feel? And she just does this like this sigh of exasperation, and it just like cuts to black. I'm like, that was the coolest fucking way to end this trailer.
Yeah, I just rewatched it. It gave me goose pimples. He goes, aren't you angry?
That's what it is. Yeah.
And she takes, just like you said, she doesn't have to say anything because that's the art of great filmmaking. She just makes that like, I'm trying to equate it to something in real life. Like when you tell your wife, not only are you going to be home late, but you're not going to have the shit she asked you to pick up. It's like, it's just like
I have two bad pieces of information for you at one time.
It's like, okay. Okay. I'm not touching it for 2 nights, but okay. No, I'm kidding. I would never be with anybody who used sexual threats against me. That's
right.
Emotional abuse. Okay. Up next, We Own the City again comes out April 25th. Up next, Derek's new TV show coming out May 5th. I'm sorry. I know that it's an old trope, but I didn't know you.
Yeah,
for
that's okay. You
all that long. Yeah, it's fine. Michael Myers is reappearing. He's been appearing in my fucking living room for the past couple of weeks in The Cat in the Hat, which my son is the only film he will watch beginning to end. And oh my God, fucking kill me, please. Michael Myers is coming back. I don't know where the fuck he's been. Yeah. Oh, that's right. He made a couple of really bad films and no one liked him anymore. Somehow he forgot that that's where he left off with everyone. And he's coming back for a Netflix show called The Pentavarite. I don't know how you pronounce it. It looks really fucking weird. It doesn't just look like a sketch comedy show to give him a way to play a million characters, because we know it's his favorite thing to do. It looks like it has like a legit sci-fi storyline of like this secret society that's through the ages trying to steer people, and amongst it is Mike Myers being an idiot. So it's probably going to be really bad. But it's got some cool faces in it. It's got Key. What's his name?
Keegan Key.
Michael Keegan Key. Something like that. He's in it. Ken Jeong. There's just, there's a lot of comedic faces in it.
Yeah.
Look, it's gonna be bad. I'm just upselling it a little bit.
I disagree. I actually
What?
Yeah, no, I love Mike Myers. I fucking love Mike Myers. Not everything he puts out is a banger, but I feel like the way he sells jokes is always hilarious.
What are you talking about? Don't foul mouth the love guru.
The love guru, that was really bad. No, but like if you go back and watch Austin Powers, we've had this conversation a million times. I don't know if it was on the podcast or personal, so I'll just mention it here to the listeners. If you like haven't watched Austin Powers in quite a while, like I had 2 years ago, and you're like, I wonder if that movie's still good, and you don't want to tarnish your memory, you don't want to go back and watch it and find out it wasn't that good, I'm here to tell you everything's going to be okay, because it's probably even funnier than it was when you were a kid. We watched it, Veronica and I, like, I don't know, like 2 years ago, and then again, like a year ago. Oh my God. I'm like in tears laughing. No, it's like he just has a way of selling lines that like, if anybody else said them, they probably would suck. Like the way they closed this trailer. He's like, I haven't had this much fun since I backed into a meat thermometer at a nudist colony or something like that. Stupidest, like the joke itself is dumb. Like there's nothing funny about that. It's like low-hanging fruit humor. But just the way he says it and the face he's making, it's hilarious. Like, and the fact that it's a TV show, I don't know. Look, it didn't show you a whole lot, right? You saw that he's playing a couple different characters, which is what he always does. I guess it's made by him, right? Like written by him. I don't know. I have faith in it. I think it'll be funny. I fucking love Mike Myers.
So the only thing that makes me think this could be fun is like you said, written by Mike. So he probably pitched this to Netflix, like, hey, I got a silly idea, which means it was probably a labor of love. He hasn't been doing stuff lately. He's probably been writing this for a while.
Yeah.
Look, I'm all for lowbrow humor. Okay. Ace Ventura 2 Pet Detective, or sorry, Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls is, I still find it to be a gem. I love that movie. I still quote it regularly, like unironically quote that movie still. And I get it. I know it's made for 13-year-olds.
No, I actually have to. I don't remember much of them. I watched them as a kid, and then like a couple months ago, I was at my Nana's, and I don't know which one it's from, but he's like in a monster truck chasing a guy through the woods, and he pushes the cigarette lighter in, and instead of just throwing it out the window, he lifts the entire cab of the monster truck up just to throw the thing into his car, and then brings it back down. And I was like in tears. I'm like, just the fucking absurdity and uselessness of that notion is so fucking hilarious. I'm like, I have to revisit these movies. I don't remember anything about them. Like, it's one of those movies that once the gang starts talking about them, I kind of just get quiet because I know I'll be like, just like crucified if I mention that I don't really remember them. So I will have to put them on the reel.
It's the first one is really okay and not worth rewatching, I don't think. But the second one is just such a gem. It's got so many like ridiculous Jim Carrey moments.
Yeah. Which was that scene from? Was it the first or second one?
The second, I believe.
That's the second one? Okay.
I believe. Pretty sure. That's pretty great. It's funny that I love hearing someone talk about a movie I love and to hear the scene that like tickles you.
Right.
You know, there's so many moments from that second film, but the whole opening sequence, he's at a monastery with monks. And you can tell they really want him to get the fuck out. So the guy shows up with a job offer, and he's like, "But I haven't gotten my medallion of spiritual oneness." And the guy's like, "Take mine." He's like, "This took you 80 years to achieve." And the guy's like, "I don't like it anymore." and the whole sequence, I just love it so much. He's like. There, I could see it in your eyes. It's like you've just attained it. He's like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. This is not funny. I'm quoting a movie that's like 20 years, 30 years old at this point.
I'm happy it makes you happy. That's what
thank you. He puts there's a huge, staircase down from the monastery, and he wants to do a slinky down the whole thing. And he gets to the bottom, and his buddy's like, all right, we're like, because you just did that, we're crazy late. We got to get on the plane. And he's like, it stopped at the last step, and he's like, "Can we do it one more time?" And the guy's like, "No." And he's, it's the popular "let's do all the things that you want to do" line. Anyway, go watch it.
I will.
I want you to watch it, and I want you to tell me how much you did or did not love it on your rewatch.
I will do that. I can make that happen.
Okay.
I can move some things around, and we can make that happen.
I like that. It sounds like you're a real businessman.
Yeah.
And about town.
course.
Oot and boot, as
Oot
you
and
say in the Great White North. Okay, so we have a video game to talk about. 22-minute gameplay trailer. We're gonna break down every. I'm just kidding. We're not. Hogwarts Legacy. We talked about it earlier. This game was like announced in 2020, I think. Maybe before. I don't. It's been out there for a long time. I think there was a leak of it, and then it was officially announced, but we didn't get any kind of gameplay or information about it really. And it looks like it's finally coming out holiday season this year. They released PlayStation used an entire state of play, which is like they're kind of like, hey, look, new shit coming out, just to do an in-depth look at this. It looks like they're really kind of banking on, this game being a huge success. And I gotta be honest with you, as someone who likes Harry Potter, it kind of looks incredible.
Dude, when you were talking about this leading up to it, you had mentioned it in the group chat a couple times. You're like, oh, just so you guys know, the Hogwarts Legacy is going to be this time on this night.
That's because I'm lawful good.
And right. And every single time I was like, internally, like, Chris, nobody gives a fuck about a Harry Potter game. Like,
well,
why would we? Yeah, I'm just telling you, I didn't say it out loud. I didn't bring it into the real world, but I just couldn't understand why you kept bringing it up. And then
I knew you would care.
You linked it in the chat. I did not watch it. And then when I was taking a shit, I saw an ad for it. And so I went, all right, I'm tired of hearing about this fucking thing. Let's just watch this stupid 2-minute video. And holy shit, it looks so good. And then I watched the state of play. But anyway, I'm giving it back to you.
Okay, no big deal. I mean, this gameplay reveal and like the features in the game they were talking, they just kept adding shit and adding shit and adding shit and adding shit. And I was like, oh my God. It looks like they literally are just going for broke. Like they set this so far back in time, but it doesn't really matter because the wizarding world's always, because they have magic, has just sort of been stuck in this limbo state. So day-to-day life looks basically normal as a kid in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
But it's set in a completely different time frame, so you don't have to worry about bumping up against any of the established lore.
Thank God.
Gives them freedom.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And like I said, they kind of sit in a bubble because they have magic. So like, why do you need shit like modern day technology when you can fucking just magic yourself anywhere? It kind of freezes progress for humanity and, well, the magical community of humanity. All of us non-muggles, if you will. All right. I'm sorry for that. But the game shows, you as they gave off some interesting tidbits. You were going to be coming into Hogwarts as a 5th year, which is extremely strange and unusual. No idea what the caveat there is going to be, but it looks like your character, of course, you have the 1TM syndrome. There's some kind of, they've always talked about ancient magics in the Harry Potter universe, but never really dove into those mysteries, which I think is really cool to leave things dangling. And in this game, it's going to focus around this kind of goblin rebellion who's fighting back against the wizarding kind, which good, because we treat them like shit. And I'm kind of rooting for them in this game, to be honest with you. Even if like the main character's a good guy, like the goblins just eat shit from people.
Yeah.
That's just their role they're slaves basically to wizarding kind, which is fucked up. There's a goblin rebellion going on, and it looks like your character can somehow control or commune with these ancient magics. So we don't know exactly what the storyline is going to be. Obviously good, but they show you doing all the things that you've probably dreamed about doing in a Harry Potter video game. They literally show you like attending classes. I don't know how that's going to work, but they show you attending courses and getting to play through sequences, and you get to pick a class where you specialize if you want to be better at like potions versus like dealing with magical creatures and beasts. You get to use the room of requirement to train, and that's where you make all your shit. And there's like a Fantastic Beasts kind of pocket world where you go in. It's like this big, but you go in and it's
you make
a whole like
town.
You get to make a. That's when I freaked out.
Town with all your. Me too. I was like, holy shit! I can you can fence in little piggy animals. You can pet a cat with a brush from 20 feet away. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so they're showing you going to class, and they're showing like wand combat, which looks surprisingly fucking cool.
Yeah.
And they're showing exploring the countryside around Hogwarts, which looks fucking incredible and very fun. Little towns here and there, little camps. It really looks like it's going to be a nice mixture of like linear stuff in the and by the way, the castle apparently has a million like all the secret corridors and shit that you know about. because it's a living entity, are going to be there for you to find little challenge rooms and secrets, I'm sure. So it's got like this like Arkham Asylum-esque feel of like Hogwarts having so much to do in it, but then you have an open world countryside where you get to fly around on the back of a griffin or a broom. And then after that was when they showed like the fucking Build-A-Town. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is doing everything!"
And you can you can forage seeds while you're out just adventuring. Go back to the room of requirement and plant seeds to get like ingredients to make potions and like to create charms. And there's a part where he actually has a mandrake, like the little screaming baby thing. And there's all these people around him, and he just like pulls it out and it screams and stuns everyone around him. I'm like, this looks. How the fuck am I this excited about a Harry Potter game? Dude, it looks incredible. Even like graphically, it looks great. But all the voice acting was really well done. The story seems interesting enough. Again, we don't know much. We don't want to know much at this point. But I like that it takes place in the 1800s. So it's quite a while ago, which is a good thing because it's not like there's going to be any cameos from fucking Harry Potter. That would just be so annoying. Or like Snape prowling the hall. Like we've seen enough of those characters. It's just cool that they're just taking this world. And rather having it take place, you'd think logically they'd go, let's make it like 30 years after Harry Potter. So people are still talking about Harry Potter, reminds people that they're in that universe. But no, they went before, significantly before. So most of these people aren't even born yet. You see some of the ghosts are still there. The fat lady painting's there. Nearly Headless Nick is there. So it's not like nobody is going to be attached to the movies and books, but you know, the main characters, the main heavy hitters are not going to be there, which I like because now you can just do something totally brand new.
Right. I mean, so for example, because I'm curious and I know that Dumbledore is
when your first day there, you get the Sorting Hat puts you in a house. You can end up in any of the 4 houses.
That's fun.
It's just cool.
Very, very fun. Both Dumbledore and Grindelwald were born at the end of the 18th century. So like Dumbledore's in-universe birthday was 1881. So like, and they did say towards the end of the 1800s. So they're going to be babies. I mean, let's say it's 1899. I mean, maybe he's 12 or something and pops in for a little cameo. Like he would give a shit. He's not going to do anything, but, it does look really good. It looks like I said, the wand combat looks surprisingly fluid. And I don't quite know the mechanics of how it's going to work, but the demo they showed off was kind of incredible. They would show you like stupefy or stun someone, and then they showed like, there's at one point where you're not just battling other witches and wizards, you're battling sometimes magical creatures or enchanted things. So there's a section where there was some enchanted like knights in armor swinging swords at you, and the character used Expelliarmus to pull the sword away and then threw the sword and stabbed the knight with it. And I was just like, oh my god, this looks so much fun. And switching between all those spells. And then after all that, they also mentioned that like, you're digging into all this ancient magic and shit, and that you can kind of choose if you want to learn like the darker spells that you're not really supposed to do and become sort of a darker wizard and learn like Avada Kedavra and probably like the Cruciatus Curse or something. I'm kind of a Harry Potter nerd for just being able to rattle that off. But I'm so we're kind of just rattling on about this. It looks really great, and if they can fulfill even half of the promises that this gameplay trailer makes, I will be very interested in playing it. It's going to come out later this year. It said 2022. They don't give an exact date, but that probably means just holiday. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed. It's already been in development for quite some time.
And if I implore you, and this is not a joke, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, how the fuck are these guys talking about a Harry Potter game right now? Just go watch the trailer. There's a 20 minute long state of play. You can even skip that one. Just watch the short 2-minute trailer that they put out. And if you feel the same way, then I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong. But like I said, leading up to this, every time you talked about it, I was like, I don't care. Why do you keep talking about this game? And I'm just telling you, like, I was wrong. This looks incredible. I'm actually really, really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, we were both tipsy last night, just reiterating our strong feelings about it. So I'm looking forward to it. But okay. Main topics time. How's your bladder feeling?
I'm good. We should be okay.
I'm not even going to ask you anymore.
And now next time I'm going to be like, I'm just going to have to piss so bad.
I'm just so proud of you. You know.
Thank you. Holding my peepees in.
Yeah, holding your peepees in. Okay, so we have a couple main topics as I spoke about before. But before we do that, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thecynicalnerd, Twitter at thecynicalnerd. You can ask us a question with hashtag AskTCN, ASKTCN. If we fuck something up, you want to correct us, tell us we're ugly, whatever you want to do, it's okay. That's hashtag fucktcn. We can take it. We definitely can take it. If you have movies you want us to watch and review, even, I'd be open to that, as long as we haven't already seen them, in which case I'll tell you to go back and listen to our back catalog and stop slacking.
Yeah.
If you want to ask us a question, you can email us at questions@thecynicalnerd.com. Anything to your heart's desire, we'll talk about it on the podcast.
It's true.
I realized a buddy of mine, Matt, who I shout out earlier in the episode, gave us a compliment on the Batman review, and I mentioned it earlier, but I also realized we talked so much about tone and sort of the early settings of that movie that we didn't even talk about Riddler's incel army towards the end, and what happened with the ending. So we're not going to do that now. I'm just pointing out, if you were to write us an email and say, "Hey, fuck faces, you missed a huge point of conversation there." You're right, we did. I still like that part, even though people thought it was like a third act silly. I was like, oh, that's not. There's no blue light in the sky. That's all I really care about at this point in superhero films, to be honest with you. All right, so Adam Project is up first, and what I will call the Ryan Reynolds Project, I think, is my official title for this film. We have Ryan Reynolds back playing Ryan Reynolds. There's a small child playing little Ryan Reynolds, sometimes to great success and sometimes not at all. He's a child actor. They're hit or miss. Sometimes they do great work and sometimes they are just shit. He's kind of in the middle. I didn't hate this kid. There's a couple times I didn't believe anything that was coming out of his mouth, and there's a couple times I thought he did a great job. Basically what I'm saying is they should take in a couple extra takes on a couple of those conversations for him. Mark Ruffalo's, you said this earlier in the week and I am stealing it from you. He is just becoming insufferable to watch.
Very bad actor. Just
I don't know what it
exceptionally
is.
bad. He was great 20 years ago. It's superstardom is what it is. Same thing.
Is it, you think?
What's the best RDJ movie he's put out since he became Iron Man?
Yeah, but like Jennifer Garner's like, she's a great actor and she was fine in this.
Is she? I don't think she was
mostly.
great.
Better than Mark Ruffalo. My bar is Mark Ruffalo. Yeah. So, I mean, she didn't get Ruffaloed, you know?
Right. Okay. Fair.
Only
He was
Ruffalo got
abysmal,
Ruffaloed.
though. He was abysmal in this movie. And if you look at films from 20 years ago, he was a really good actor. And it's just somewhere along the way. I feel like when you make that much money, you just have to show up. It doesn't matter how well you perform. People are going to show up to your fucking movie anyway because they want to see big name, and then that's it. Like there's no effort.
He got so used to being behind a green screen where it didn't matter how much effort he put in. Then he
he'd do a really wooden take, and they'd be like, "It's all right, we'll fix it in post, Mark."
Yeah. Now Hulk's he's just angry. You got that on emotion. Here's your latte. Shut up. So the merits of this film. Let's we'll do good and bad, I guess. As far as like the script, it's very cookie cutter time travel movie. We have to go back and we have to go back and stop something from happening to save the future ultimately. And even the emotion in this film is like, if I'm writing a time travel movie and my goal is to make people feel things, they took exactly the things that you'd expect. Like dead parents, seeing dead parents again. Like, what's the easiest low-hanging emotional fruit to get people to cry? The problem is they did it kind of well in those moments. I think the emotional beats of this movie are the strong suit. The CGI certainly is not. And the fights were just okay. Like some of them were fun. I think the reactor fight at the end where he's being held against the core is kind of interesting, but that's just for a second. It's also a bunch of CGI suits and shit with not a lightsaber, which was the dumbest fucking. They just vaporized everybody into mist. Ryan Reynolds makes some Ryan Reynolds TM joke about it, about like dying outside your fixed time is
it gets messy.
And I'm like, that's really the excuse for that weird effect.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, like the whole like what a MacGuffin to lean on your movie in. Like because of time travel, the accepted logic is there's a place in quantum space where you're supposed to be.
I
like,
hated
shut
that.
the fuck.
I hated that.
I don't
so
need
much.
you to
I know.
try and explain that because it's not going to make sense anyway. So just continue. I can suspend disbelief and watch the movie.
I try to not with movies like this, like pick it apart like that, because with
Yeah.
every time travel movie, there's going to be inconsistencies, except for Dark on Netflix. German TV show did time travel very well, obeyed all of its own rules. I try not to pick it apart, but no, I agree that irks me too. Like that is not a good enough reason for what you're talking about right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the movie really only succeeds as like a family drama,
Mhm.
and that was surprisingly well done for me. I messaged Derek this, but I wept openly, like ugly cried at like 11:30, 12 at night. Just like the kind where I was sure Samantha, my wife, was going to be like, "Hey, are you okay?" Because like it was the ugly cry where like not only are you sobbing, but like you're making like noises that you
Right.
didn't expect to, like you like like that kind of like super. For those of you who don't know, I'm pretty sure I've talked about it, but my father passed away when I was 4. So, like I said, low hanging emotional fruit. It's just a checkbox. Like,
I'm so
of
glad
course,
you said. Can I just say I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this whole time I've been like, I'm gonna bring up my dead family members, and I was gonna say like, you can relate. I'm like, is that a dick move to be like, anyway, everyone, Chris's dad is dead.
I'm just gonna air your personal family tragedy.
So now I don't even have to worry about that.
I've never, just for future reference, I've never been. You never have to worry about saying that. I don't
Right.
care. It's public. I was 4 when he passed away. I was very young. And honestly, and this is going to be a small touching moment. It's been enriching to.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how to describe it. Here's why. I was 4 when he passed. I have very few memories of my father. I do have some, but they're not very detailed. I was 4. You don't really start making memories till you're 3 or so, and then even then, you remember bits and things here. I do remember him, and sometimes we had together, but they're not crystal clear. So growing up, it was always just this feeling of like, I never really got any time with my dad, which was, the biggest driver to Sad Town. Now being a dad and having a 3-year-old, he's still like a year younger than I was when I lost my father. And I know how many great memories I've already made with him.
Mhm.
And it's really like heartening to know that even though I might not remember so much from my dad, he had a lot of good time to spend with me before
Yeah.
he passed. And obviously it was still too young, and that's very sad. And I wish he was here longer, but I know that like, last night we're sitting on the couch, just chilling before his bedtime, and he decides to grab his iPad and just unannounced comes over and like sits next to me and curls up in the crook of my arm. And those are kind of like the little father-son moments where I just look at him and kiss his forehead and smile, and they're very touching, and they mean a lot to me. He'll never remember that,
Yeah.
but I will.
Yeah.
And I know that my dad had that with me, and I'm not trying to make this a super sad
Yeah, you have me choking
podcast
up
TM.
over here.
I'm actually doing surprisingly well. I thought I would have been sobbing already. I'm holding it in. Well, now that I thought about it, I just felt it a little bit. But this movie is an emotional, it's like emotional catnip. Like they know the easiest way to get people to cry, and they just pull those. And obviously, as soon as I realize, I'm like, the whole time I'm like, they talk about how Ruffalo passed in a car accident a year before the movie starts. And I'm like, well, how are they? He's in the trailer. Like, oh, and then they're like, oh, we got to go back and stop it. I'm like, well, stupid Chris, you shouldn't be so drunk. You didn't even think about that. So they go back in time, and the minute they walk in his lecture hall, and Ryan Reynolds, who hasn't seen him since he was a boy, and then little kid who lost his dad a year ago and is seeing him alive in front of him, I just lost it.
Yeah.
My brain was like, oh, stupid. This is like if you could go back in time and see your dead father, and my brain just shut down.
Yeah.
And I had to grab tissues, and I'm like just sobbing as hard as possible. It was really bad. And then there's Jesus Christ. I probably can't talk about this scene because I will start full on sobbing. And I want you to, if I do, just take over and start talking about it. Yeah. The scene towards the end when they have limited time left. You know what I'm talking about.
You can do it. Finish it. Get through it.
And Mark Ruffalo, like, there's a scene earlier in the movie where Ryan Reynolds is talking to his younger self, and he's like, "You want to know the truth?" He's like, "Dad dying messed you up more than you think, and you're going to be angry and depressed and all this stuff." And then at the end of the movie, Mark Ruffalo grabs Ryan Reynolds.
Go ahead. You can do it.
He's
You can
he's
do
just
it.
like, "It's okay, and I love you." Fuck. It got me.
It was
so
a tense scene. It really was.
I was like,
yeah.
no, please stop talking. I don't want to cry.
Yeah, you know what's
yeah.
funny? When I was it's not funny, but when I was watching that scene, I was like, "This is gonna get to Chris. I know this is gonna cut right through."
It was so bad. Like, can you imagine not only having like extra time with your dead father, but him also telling you exactly what you needed to hear emotionally?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my God, fuck this movie. Anyway, otherwise, besides the emotion, it was fine.
Yeah, it was, for me, there was a lot that the movie did well, but just way more that it did wrong. As someone who, I'll put my shit out there too. My brother and my sister both died. Two totally different events years ago. It's been a long, I think 18 years ago my brother died, and I think 9 years ago my sister died. So
just for purposes of levity, would you say it's been a while?
Yeah. It has. It's been quite a while.
So I'm so sorry.
So it did have that emotional impact. And I think exactly what you're saying is what they knew that they could get a cheap cry out of. Mostly everyone has someone in their family that's dead, especially the older you get. But even when you're a kid, you could have a grandparent that died or whatever, and you have these thoughts. What if I could go back and talk to them? Or like, what's the thing I would say to them if I could talk to them one more time? And they kind of played on that whole aspect of it. So it wasn't quite as on the nose for me as it was for you, because my dad is still alive, thankfully. But I have experienced loss. And the one thing that this movie did extremely well that I have to, there's just no way that I can gloss over this and act like it wasn't a big deal, is that I hate how grief is portrayed in video games and in movies and in TV shows as this just like singular one-time hurdle that if you just get over that one hurdle, then everything's okay. That is not how it is when you lose somebody that's in your direct family at all. You have days that are good. You have days that are bad. In the beginning, you might be dealing with it well, and then you may regress. You may, maybe the other way around. You could go 20 years feeling pretty good, and then have 6 months where you're just in despair. It's an ever-changing beast. It is not this static thing that's just like a thing you get over and then you're resolved. It's always changing. Yeah. And it showed that in what I thought was a pretty clever way by you had young Adam and older Adam. And young Adam, basically his dad just died a year ago, and so he still has the kid syndrome of like seeing his dad as a hero and blah blah blah. Whereas you have the older Adam, who basically as a coping mechanism, and there was a fucking great line in this movie, is when young Adam says to older Adam, "I think you just realized it's easier to be angry than it is to be sad," which has been, and now I'm going to get choked up because that's been for my whole life, like my issue to overcome is that like when you're sad, when you lose someone, you go months of just being in despair. And one day you just go like, fuck, I'm tired of feeling like this. And as soon as you get that anger, you go, I'm not sad anymore. Like, it's just this thing you realize over time that you can replace this one shitty feeling with another shitty feeling that you think is easier to manage because you feel like you're in control when you're angry, but you're just as out of control as you are when you're
self-destructive
in the dumps. Exactly. So that's been my journey, which I think I've taken a lot of steps on, especially since Odin has come around. So that really rang true for me. I thought that was excellent. I thought that the only reason I'm going this in depth and turning it into a therapy session is that I want people to realize that like I understood the core message of this movie. It's not like that went over my head. It's just that the rest of the movie was fucking, it just wasn't good. It wasn't even bad. It was just middling. And I like saw a couple of people praising it. And so I went, maybe this is actually a good thing. I saw a couple scenes mentioned. There is a line Ryan Reynolds says where he's like, 30 years later, you still get sick to your stomach every time you think of how shitty you were to your mom. And I always think about that. Like, my mom and I are best friends as an adult now. We get along, but we had a pretty, like I said, we had a lot of shit. She lost 2 of her kids.
Right. You guys were all going through it.
So yeah, so we would butt heads. We would say shit. I still now think about stuff and I go like, I wish I had handled that better. Of course, it's always easier when you're an adult to look back when you were a kid and know that you were acting like a kid. So I thought that was, a relatable line to hear. When he goes and sees his mom in the bar, I initially liked that scene, but it just fucking went on too long. It just dripped into melodrama. And I felt like that was the issue I had with this movie, is that even in the scenes that were the emotional heavy hitters, and they were good, and they did sort of like eke out a couple tears for me. So at a certain point, it's just like, it's like eating overly rich chocolate. Like the scene has to end and you have to get into the next thing. And it just kept going and going and going.
It did. I absolutely did. That particular scene, I will agree with you. It did drag on. There was a really nice message to that scene. However, he should have gotten there a lot. He said a lot of nice things to her when they first started talking. And I was like, that's sweet. And then you either had to stop it there or erase all those small talk moments and just do the one big message at the end. I don't know if I explained that right, but towards the end, he's like, I bet you're really acting like you have it together. And the problem with acting is that he believes you. Mm-hmm. And I feel that coming up again. Anyway, he goes, it's okay to show the cracks. It's like, basically it's okay to show him that you're still grieving. Like that's important for him. And if just that had happened, I'd have been like, oh, great moment. Nice little scene. But there's like a whole longer section of them talking. And he says a couple really nice things to her. He's like, I'm, doing the best you can. He's just a kid. He loves you. Like nice things that you would want to say to your mom in retrospect if you had the time. But it was like this or that, but you just took the whole pie. Or like, what's all the emotional things we can say?
Exactly. Yeah. And you just feel like overwhelmed by it eventually. And then he like gets up and like puts his hand on her shoulder. He loves you more than you could possibly know.
Yeah. And I'm like, shut up.
And then the scene with Zoe Saldana and them saying goodbye was just like overly, she starts like screaming and they're crying and holding each other. And it's like, we get the point. Like the movie has to go on. We're just like ruminating in this one scene. Yeah. And then even right after that, like he goes away in the plane and there's this just way too long shot of her like looking at him and then looking and smiling at her. And I'm like, we know she's going to shoot her now. Just shoot her. Like, why are we sitting here in this uncomfortably long stare down? Like it was just
trying to eke out the extra tears.
Yeah. Right. But beyond that, I really felt like the movie was just not, it
mediocre.
Was just cheap and it's just,
yeah.
Like the bullet thing at the end, like somehow Mark Ruffalo also knows about, technology that was created 30 years after he died. Oh, there's a steel core in the center of that bullet. It's like, how did you know that? How did you know a fucking photon beam wasn't going to come out of that gun? You don't fucking know.
Yeah.
The thought of it being made hasn't even occurred yet. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. It was just goofy. I thought the action was dumb. I did not like the child actor. I thought he was unbearable.
I thought it was okay sometimes. I think that's what my overall point was.
His line when he said, like I said, when he said, and it may be tricking me again, like maybe this is because I have an overly personal attachment to the sentiment of it.
That's how they got it. Everyone's experienced loss and they're emotional terrorists. I'm telling you, that's the whole point.
But when he says, like, I think you just realize it's easier to be angry than it is to be sad. That part was good. But every time he like said a joke or tried to be sarcastic, I was just like, yuck. I cannot wait for this to be done.
Shut your little mouth hole.
But no, I overall, I would give this like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Like, and 5 of that are those scenes.
I would go like 6 out of 10 at least, maybe 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the movie knew what it was doing. Like you said, besides paying a lot of money to have Ryan Reynolds, which is obviously why the CGI suffered. Because beyond the emotional terrorism moments, the movie is a middling Netflix experience, exactly what you expect.
Yeah.
The action is fine. It's not good. It's not horrible, but it's not good.
Yeah. Really uninspired sci-fi look too. Like, isn't that what every
Yeah.
I know that's a weird criticism, but like the ships and outfits and everything just look
it's like they
you
pulled the
Googled
set
sci-fi.
design. Yeah, it's like they pulled the set design from like the Epic catalog of like assets. You know what I mean? Like, this looks sci-fi enough. Sure, we'll use this. I also don't know why. Well, never mind. I might have to answer my own question. I was going to say I don't know why all the technology has shifted so heavily in one lifetime, but if you invent time travel and you could literally just go to the future and be like, "What's up, boys?" I mean, whatever. Okay, I can see caveats there, but I didn't really talk about Zoe Saldana, and I don't want to for too long. She's a sweetheart. I like her as an actor. Got it. In most everything she does. The fact that she was alive surprised me. I thought that like he was trying to save her from being dead. So to find her already alive, I was like, oh, hey. And I thought the concept, like, so there's a scene where they get back to the house. I think it was after he got beat up in front of Ryan Reynolds and he gets pissed off and runs away. They get back to the house and Reynolds sits down on the stairs outside and the kid holds up the little picture of her and he goes, "Who's this?" And I didn't like weep openly like the other two times, but I was like, oh, like he's about to, like, you know, predetermined destiny. Like, he's about to see the woman he falls in love with. And to hear like the older version of him talking about like how they met. And I just thought it was like a really sweet thing. But again, like the movie knows exactly what it's dealing with that. But yeah, mediocre with good emotional bombs. It knew exactly what it was doing. If you want to cry, you should
if
probably
anyone that
watch
you
it.
love has ever died, then you can get a cheap cry in.
Everybody dies, so everyone can probably relate. Yeah, go ahead and watch that movie. It'll make you feel super sad if you're into that. Okay, so moving on. We spent more time talking about that than I expected. Turning Red, latest Pixar film out in Disney Plus right meow. I would like Derek to take the reins on
That's
this bad
excellent.
boy.
Turning Red is the newest Disney Pixar movie featuring a young woman named Mei Lin who discovers that her family has a super secret thing where once they come of age, whenever they feel an extreme emotion like anger or excitement or whatever, they turn into a gigantic red panda. There's some goofy reason that in the movie that they explain. I don't remember exactly what it is. Something about an ancient ancestor who like had a spell cast on them or something. But in any event, the movie, I'm in a weird spot. I know we try not to say this, but I don't have much to say about it other than that I really loved this movie. And I went into it expecting it to be good. And it turned out to really be great. It's like I have never missed being a kid. I love being an adult. I love having freedom. I love that if I want to leave somewhere, I can just leave. Like I remember, I feel like whenever we like fantasize about being a kid again, we're thinking about things like we didn't have to pay for food or rent or anything.
Responsibilities,
but that came with
really.
a lot of shit that sucked, like bedtimes and needing to be home by a certain time. And so when people say like, oh, I miss this, I miss that. I have never felt that way.
No, I don't miss high school, for example.
Oh, fuck high school. It was the fucking worst. This movie made me miss being a kid. It like made me remember things that like I forgot. I just haven't thought about in so long. And just now, granted, if with me, it's me and a bunch of my guy friends, but so it's not the exact experience, but just the way that they have this tight knit group of friends and they're just obsessed with each other and they just want each other to do good and be happy. And it just reminded me of like riding around on bikes and just doing bullshit with my buddies at like 11 and 12. Like it really just
like before you knew what depression meant. You know what I mean?
Before it was even a concept, my mind had, the seed was in there somewhere, but it hadn't bloomed yet. But it had, interesting things to say about just like family dynamics. Essentially her mother like really pressures her to be the woman she wants her to be, but she has, Mei Lin has her own sort of interests that she hides from her mom. Anyway, it was just a good movie. It really had me in tears because again, there's some really intense family shit towards the end where essentially like her mom, it's revealed has like a gigantic monstrous Godzilla sized red panda. And so the rest of her family, the aunts and grandmother and everything decide to willingly break their own curse to heal her mother. It's just sort of like culminates in this. The message of the movie to me, oh my God, I saw this post about how the panda is a fucking metaphor for her vagina and all this crazy shit. I know like Nick had said that it's a metaphor for her period. I don't think any of that was true. I think that the point the movie was trying to get across is that everybody has emotions that pop up around 11, 12 years old that are hard to control, and that it's okay. It's just shit happens.
Hormone-fueled?
It's hormone-fueled, yeah. People are just like, they'll see boogeymen around every corner, and they're turning this very innocent, very cute, very endearing movie that has a lot of good things to say about the family dynamic into just this weird sexually charged thing. And I don't understand it. If you're listening to this and you're one of those people that have been first of all, everybody who's saying that hasn't seen the movie. Like, it's very clear to me. They just saw a post on 4chan and now they're saying it's a part of the feminist agenda or something.
Hey, 4chan, thanks for the sponsor this week.
Yeah. It's a wonderful movie.
I mostly agree with you.
Okay.
I liked this movie, and I think it was a well done movie. And here's the thing. I don't know if you know this. Most Pixar movies are made to relate to guys.
Yeah.
Not all of them. That's 100% not all of them. I know that. I mean, obviously something like Brave, was very focused, but I don't know. And maybe if I think about that statement more, it'll become less true. But I didn't feel the family drama stuff resonated with me pretty well. That was really well done. The pressure from the family, I want to be my own woman. But because it was about a young woman coming of age, I struggled to find a connection to it.
Yeah.
And that's normal. And that's fine because it speaks probably most heavily to young girls or older women who remember what it was like in that period of time. I remember being a young kid and having outbursts and being mean to my mom and feeling bad about it. Like 100% I do. But when I watched it, both Samantha and I, so fuck you, thought it was a analogy for her getting her period, at least at first, because when you watch it, they literally make jokes about it. Like when she first turns into a panda, they're like, is it time? Did it start? And her mom like brings in all these products for her. And she's like, don't worry, honey. And it really, if you think that up front, whether it's the movie's doing because the joke they make or not, and you start watching the film with that concept in your brain, I think it fucks the movie up because I'm watching it with that mentality. And again, I can't relate to that in the slightest. I have no idea what horrible things women have to deal with. I'm so lucky I'm a man with a penis who has no trials or tribulations to deal with in his life other than making sperms to make a baby.
Just to clarify what I meant by when I said it wasn't about that, all I meant is I don't think that there is a fixed thing that it was an analogy for.
I got you.
So if you see it as it being a metaphor for, starting menstruation, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think people have these weird theories on how it was like a fixed meant to represent a very specific thing. And I just don't think it did. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so here's the problem with going through the movie thinking that, besides alienating me a little bit, and that's, again, totally fine. Movies should reach out to different audiences and not always the same one, aka the ones with dicks. I'm thinking like my wife, and we did enjoy the movie. We both liked it. But the whole movie, I have this in the back of my head. I'm like, metaphor for a young woman getting her period or whatever, that time of her life, going through puberty. And if you look at it from that lens, the ending makes no sense because the women decide to rekindle their period to save the mom. Like, I'm telling you, we start watching the ending and my wife is like, well, the metaphor doesn't really work then, does it? Because she decides to stay with her panda, and my wife's like, well, like what? Because that doesn't make any sense.
So that's why I think it's not about...
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And honestly, thinking about it like that makes me want to rewatch the film because, we're watching it and my wife was like, and both of us were like, well, that was good, but I don't really know what they were trying to say. Like, yes, be true to yourself and... you have to come to an understanding with your parents that, you're going to be your own person and there's some growth there for the parents, and there's some growth there for the child. But at the time, like I said, we were a little like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What metaphor were you trying to get across there? Because it didn't work 100%.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think we just had that. I think I'm blame Nick. It was probably Nick's fault.
Yeah,
He had
Nick's
planted
fault.
in my
Fuck
head.
him.
But 100%, fuck you, Nicky B. Now that I've seen No Way Home, I don't need you. I'm just kidding. It's not nice. Because the next movie's going to come out, and I'm still going to need you. No, he's a good guy. He goes off on tangents that have nothing to do with current conversation. Although it's like it's like his card. Like if he was a D&D character, his power would be like random thoughts throughout the day, like just blah blah blah.
Middle
Like,
of fighting an ogre, and
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, I had to change my carburetor the other day," and the ogre would be like,
and you'd be like, "Really? What?" And he'll go, "Yeah, I ate 2 different types of cheese at lunch." Like, it just, you know what I mean? Like, what are 3 completely different things I can bring up rapid fire? That's his speciality. Anyway, last topic. DMZ, Rosario Dawson. It's a DC property. We just talked about this because they released a trailer very recently. I think it was last episode. Sorry, put a pin in it. I have to say, episode title I think should be The Reynolds Project, and the thumbnail should be something related to him playing the same character in every movie. Like maybe it's Deadpool flying the jet in Adam Project or something.
I'm into that. That's
okay.
I think that's the one.
Because I'm sure I can pull a cockpit scene from Ryan Reynolds and that and just paste Deadpool over it. Anyway, that was my idea. So glad, same page. DMZ, Rosario Dawson, DC property. So I gave you a short backstory on this last week because we watched the trailer, and I basically said, like, you're going to need backstory here because the trailer does a kind of a decent job. It doesn't really go into it. So this whole series is only 4 episodes. It's just a 4-episode miniseries. It's 4 hours long, meant to be one big movie, basically, or story. So we've basically watched 50% of it. And I'm surprised at how quickly she, again, heavy spoilers, this just came out, finds her son and figures out who he is now, which I guess I shouldn't be too surprised by. Like, if there are people living in the DMZ, which is New York for anyone listening who hasn't heard last episode, it's a demilitarized zone. The U.S. is in a civil war. One side of Manhattan is, one country, and the other side is another. And Rosario Dawson got separated from her son on evacuation day when they were leaving New York. So she got out. Her son got lost. She's been searching for him ever since. She gets smuggled back in, basically, trying to find him. And she's like 24 hours. So the whole first episode covers like her first day there. And then the second one. So she finds out who her son is. And there's just a bunch of different threads going on. We have nothing resolved right now, 50% through, obviously. There are a bunch of politics within the DMZ, basically. People who are still living there rising up saying, people who are controlling the water supply, and people saying they forgot about us. We're going to become our own state, our own nation, or whatever. They're going to recognize us. They're literally holding a debate in the second episode between 2 sort of like local. There's like the guy who's the head of Chinatown and that area, which I thought was funny because Rosario Dawson's character was like, who? That guy was an orderly at the hospital. Like before I just thought there's a lot of things like that you don't know who someone's going to be in that sort of post-apocalyptic territory. She finds out who her son is, and it's not who she thought. And it turns out that he left. Like, she didn't lose him. He decided to stay. He felt like she didn't really understand him. Disgruntled youth and all that. And there's a lot more they get into. I want Derek to talk about his thoughts on the show before we do any of that, if we do any of that. I will say that I am enjoying it so far. It's not the like most amazing thing, but I am definitely roped in far enough that I am going to finish it because I would like to know what happens. Yeah, that's it. The show looks fine. Rosario is a great actor. It's
3
got
times.
some
Nice.
good. Thank you. I didn't even point that one out. I was trying to under the radar. I appreciate you doing it because that makes me look even better. The guy who plays leader of the Harlem area. I forget.
Parco. Well, that's his character's name.
That guy's a great character actor, and everything I've ever seen him in, and he's eating it up here. He's a good, like, kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Not the greatest thing on the planet, but definitely worth me finishing the show. And I can't wait to finish it and report back next week with how I feel. Derek, how did you feel?
Yeah, it's interesting. I got about halfway into the first episode and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, this isn't doing it for me. The set pieces are done incredibly well. Like, it's the lighting and everything is very well done. There are some things about it that I don't like, but I have to agree. There's something about the show that compels me to keep watching it, and I haven't quite figured out what it is. I want to say it's the characters because some of them are good, but some of them are really bad too. Like, I really like Parko. I like Wilson Lin. I like Wilson Lin a lot, actually.
Oh, he's cool.
He steals like every scene he's in. But the interesting thing about him is, like you said, you never know in an apocalyptic scenario, like what was your life before, that happened.
Yeah.
And he is a relatable dude in that, well, when you hear about his origin, he is anyway, he was just a guy. Like, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
And he liked to drink, and they kind of imply him and Rosario got drunk and like fucked in the closet once. And like,
yeah,
he's just like this funny, charming guy that saw what was going on. And I think he was only like held up a bank or something. And that's how he's like,
they just left.
They left. So he like took the money, and that's how he became a criminal warlord. And so he has this like the presence and sort of what's the term I'm looking for? Intimidation of a crime boss, but he also is just kind of like a guy at the same time. Like, there's this duality to him that I don't know. There's just something about it I really like. Parko, very charismatic guy. I agree. That guy kind of plays the same character in every movie he's in, though, I'll say.
Yeah.
But this is really fitting for him. He's sort of like a schmoozer.
Typecast very well.
Yeah. And, he's trying to like unite the DMZ to basically push back the borders where the military, stays on the DMZ.
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson's character is very well done. Skell, I don't care for her son. Every scene he's in, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over.
Yeah.
The romance
between
on the same page. Him and that woman is like unbearable to watch.
Really? I don't have a problem with that, but he's so boring that
he's very boring. And you'd think he has the setup is cool enough. He has like this list of names. When someone wrongs him, he puts their name on a board as a warning. And when he kills them, he crosses their name out.
Talk about something that I can totally see in like a full splash page for a graphic novel. Like, when I saw that, I was like, that's something I can see in like a book. Yeah. Like, I know that was a full page in one of the issues.
Oh, you know what? I really like Odie too. And not just because that's what I call my son. He's just a good character. And
wasn't it heartbreaking when you realized his grandfather was dead?
Yeah, that was
man,
that was rough. But he's for a child actor. He looks like he's only 9 years old or so, and he's a good actor. I mean, he's doing a good job.
The cynical nerd has a very strict policy about child actors. We either love them because they're great, or we hate them because they're obnoxious and can't act yet.
Yeah,
he's good. I like him.
He is. I actually like really, frankly, here's twice in one episode. Although, last time I did kind of ramble on for a little bit. I don't have much to say about it other than that I agree. The story is like, it's interesting enough. I mean, I don't really care too much for what's going on in the world, but the characters are interesting enough that I want to see what happens to them. And like I said, the set pieces incredibly well done. It doesn't look like, I didn't even hear about the show until a week ago. It does not look like a quickly thrown together show. It looks like it was very well thought out. Yeah. Looks like there's a lot of, what do they call it? On scene photography, like where they don't build a set. They actually on location, it's called. Where they find an actual, location in a city and wall it off so that they can shoot a scene there for the day or whatever. Everything looks authentic. There's some shoddy CGI in the background with like the buildings that have fallen and stuff. But nothing that's glaring, nothing that gets in the way. The one issue that I have with this show, and it's an issue that I have with a lot of shows wherever there's like a DMZ, a danger zone. We don't go there. And that's that, like, there's no real sense of danger happening. Like, I think she's going to the DMZ. There's going to be fucking bullets everywhere, but it's like, there's just a community in there and people are generally kind of giving and nice. And it's like, what's dangerous? Like, every time she steps out, I want to see a fucking ting, like bullet hit right next to her head. Well,
yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, Manhattan's you've probably been to New York, pretty big place.
Yeah.
It sounds like most of the communities are, and I thought they, for me at least, visually showcased this well. It sounds like most of the communities are right inner city. I mean, you're not going to be getting shot at from the river if you're in the middle of
Right,
Midtown.
Okay.
But because where she gets smuggled in at is like The Last of Us. I mean, everything's overgrown. No one's out there.
Yeah.
It's broken buildings, rockets in the side of skyscrapers. It's where Odie was scavenging with his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get inside the city where it's a bit safer because you're not going to be under constant threat of being shot at, that's where the communities are. And I mean, they did show in the first episode, I think it was, they kind of get close to the river because she's trying to get the guy who stole her pack.
Oh, and
yeah. And they were not even on like a major bridge.
Mm-hmm.
They were just out in the open and they got some sniper shots. So, I mean, that doesn't bother me too much. If it gets ridiculous, it would bother me. But you know, I'm not expecting bombing runs in the middle of the city. Yeah, I'm glad that you are enjoying it. I agree with you though. I think this show could still be a overall success for me. However, I feel like what's supposed to be the emotional core of the show is not.
Yeah.
Like you said, Skell Christian is probably the only character I don't care about in the show. Like the idea of being like kind of warped by your father to be against your mother is fine on paper. I just don't think he does it very well. And like the whole, like, I don't get why he's so mad at her if like he chose to stay. There's a lot of things there that are not resolved. It's either going to get better and he'll become a mediocre character because right now he's shit, or it's going to stay that way, but I won't care because I actually am kind of involved in the politics of the inner city stuff. Like you said, what the fuck is his name again? Chinatown, crime boss?
Wilson Lin.
I don't know. I keep trying to think of Fisk, but Wilson is why. I love him and I love Parko. Like I think that's very interesting. And again, I mean, all these major players are acted well enough that I want to know what happened. Like they've talked about there being threats from the armies of the line being pushed in all the time. And it used to be out somewhere and now it was the Hudson. And like, I want to keep hearing about this. I always get interested in like these imagined dystopias. Like this writer was like, well, what if this was happening? Like, how would these people react? And I mean, obviously it's how any good story is written. So like, I'm literally being the biggest idiot on the planet right now, but you know what I'm getting at. And I think that if the story wraps up and they don't really give a good resolution to Skell's relationship with Rosario, I won't care as long as the way we got there was interesting. And I hope that that's what happens because it's a cool concept for a world, for drama to take place in. And that's it. I think we're done. Do you want to talk about Sicario? I mean, it's an old movie. We can though, if you watch it for next week. No. I meant like for next week.
Oh yeah. No, I would actually like to. Yeah, we could just push that to next week. I want to watch it anyway. You did watch it?
I have not yet.
Okay.
So we can watch it this week.
Okay.
And you'll have already watched Human Resources. I'm really sorry about that, guys. I'm normally not the one who is unable to watch something. Well, you haven't really done that.
It's your birth weekend.
It's the weekend of my birth. It really just came down to 6 Michelob Ultra Seltzers last night. That's all I had. I can't handle money anymore. But shill for them. Thanks for the sponsor this week. They are just 80 calories, no carbs, and no sugar. So I appreciate the sacrifice. Very good. We're gonna wrap things up. We're 2 hours. I don't know how that happened. Yeah. Oh, right. We talked about our dead family members a lot. Yeah. Jesus, I'm gonna cut that whole thing. I cried too much. I'm just kidding. We'll see you guys next week. Derek, where can everybody find you at?
They can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD. That's DRGLOOMMD.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at TCN Plays. I still have yet to get my goddamn Steam layout finished, and I haven't been bugging Travis because he's been busy with some other commissioned work for these little minifigs that look incredible. Again, go check out his fucking Instagram page. He's painting these little Marvel minifigs. They look awesome. Anyway, I'll be streaming again eventually. Last night I was like, oh, maybe I'll stream because I saw you went live.
Yeah. And
then I was like, I gotta watch DMZ. I don't feel like being up super late, so I'm gonna just do that and play Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I did that.
Beautiful.
And I didn't stream. The end. TM. The NTM. All right, so we'll see you next week. It's going to be episode 61. Woohoo! We're carving that fresh powder. We are in uncharted territories. There are no maps where we are roaming. And it's just going to be more of the same, so strap in.
Strap it on in.
Have a strap on in.
In.
Something come parts. All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye.